This lesson will cover the Instruct and Model section of my lesson plan, and it will teach the students how to use the verb to and also the verb three of in an English context. And mostly it's going to use the story of Jan Kalman, who is one of the oldest person who has ever been documented, to show the students how to use past tenses.
All right, so that's why Jan Clement is a very special person to know, right? She is one of the oldest person that has ever been documented. She even gets her own name, okay? Super Centenarian. Would you like to have that name, by the way? It sounds great, right? It has the word super in it. Now, the reason why we're going to talk about Jan Clement is because we're going to talk about the past, okay? And Jan Clement, I'm sure of it, she has a lot of interesting stories from her past. And before we read her past, let's talk about how to understand the past. How do we describe the past? So, in terms of verbs, and I know you guys have seen this before, right? And you might have been confused about it before. Verbs has two types. The first type is irregular. The second type is regular. Okay? We're going to talk about the irregular first because they are probably the most confusing that we have seen before. So, irregular verbs are basically verbs that do not follow any rules at all. Okay? We're not really used to the rules at all. So you will notice that some words just changes when it happens in the past. So some of the rules that I follow are the following. Okay, but instead of just showing what it looks, what are the rules, I might as well just show you how it works. So these are the list of examples about irregular verbs. One of the most common example that we use is run. Okay, because we run every day. I run every day. Notice we use the first verb. Okay? But if you did it in the past, the word run turned into ran yesterday. And then what happened if you have done it before? If it has happened in the past and it's no longer something that you want to talk about. I have run here before. I have run here before. It changes into the first verb again. Maybe the pattern is always A, B, and A. But no, there are words that do not follow that rules at all. For example, like cut. You use the word cut throughout the first, second, and third verb. So it's cut, cut, and cut. I cut every day. I cut yesterday. I have cut here before, for example, right? Now, what about write? It follows a different rules again. It's an ABC rules. Write, wrote, and written. Just like speak, spoke, and spoken. And then there's an ABB rules. Think, thought, and thought. Okay? It's weird, yes. So that's why a lot of lessons about irregular verbs are going to be about memorization. You really, really need to get used to how this word works in different contexts. And the best way to do that is not by memorizing, but by reading, by getting used to how it works in the real scenario. For example, like reading a story from someone else or writing it down yourself. Okay? Perhaps I have given you the spoiler of what is going to be your homework today. But no, it's fine. Do not think about it right now. Okay. Now, what about the regular verbs? Why is it called regular? And why did I put it last? Because it's the easiest. Any regular verbs will always follow the same rules. It is exactly the opposite of the irregular verbs. Regular, irregular. We follow regular because it's easy. So, regular verbs, if it happens in the past, it will always add ed at the end of the word. Okay, ed. So for example, I work every day turns into I worked yesterday. I work every day. I worked yesterday. Work, work. Okay. And if it's in the verb tree, it is going to always be the same as verb two. Okay. So I have worked here before, for example. Okay. So what makes it different with thought? The word thought doesn't end with E and D. Okay? So it's not counted as a regular verb. It's not regular verb, even though it follows the word ABB pattern. Okay? Now, it also works the same way with live, lived and lived, and then study, studied, and studied. But remember, if the word ends with a Y, and before the Y there's a consonant, we need to change the word Y, the letter Y, into IE so that it becomes study. Okay, but you read it the same, study. That's it. Any question? Okay, it's hard to understand the rules at first, but it will be easier when we actually see the real example of how it is going to be used in written form and also in the spoken form. The end of the instruct and model section of my grammar lesson. It mostly talks about how to differentiate between regular and irregular verbs so that students know that there are different ways of seeing the verbs, which is a common problem that I've seen in Indonesian students.